welcome you to Changing Media Perception of Somalis. Tonight the event will explore how we can positively change the media narrative of Somalis. It will be an opportunity to engage with British Somali diaspora to give an inspirational insight into your experience, journey in pursuing your ambitions. There will be a Q&A, of course, and we'll then follow up with a Q&A with you guys, so we'll open it up, so don't be shy. If you have a question, just put your hand up and we'll go forward with that. So our special guest today with us is Halima Aden, who's the woman over there, model. We have Ikran Dahir. Our next guest is Sagal Mohammed.
It's more like a come up with feature ideas or like things that we do on a daily basis now, but they just wanted to see whether you could do that. So write quick news story, come up with like Glamour ideas, entertainment ideas, and then I don't know if any of you guys have read Glamour magazine, but there's a section called Hey It's Okay, and then they're like, hey it's okay to whatever, like be hungry at 10 a.m. anyway, like things like that. So they wanted me to come up with a couple of those too. And then yeah, so I did that, and then luckily they liked it, and then I got invited to an interview, went there, and then yeah, I just got it. But yeah, and then I've just been working there ever since. Really, it's fun. We do loads. I do everything from in the first 6 months when I was interning, I did print and online, but now I mainly do online just because that's where everything's headed really, and that's just what I prefer to do. But yeah, I feel like I've been talking for too long. I'm like, let me.
I had no one. I went to school and I didn't really understand the language. I didn't speak English, and the other kids, they kind of just excluded me from everything. So I would go to school, sit in class, not learn anything because they didn't have English learning classes, and they didn't have ESL, English as a second language. So I literally just went to school and sat and came home, and my mom was like, okay, talk to me in English. And I'm like, what English? So it was different and it was difficult. And what I realized was the kids in America, they didn't play in groups. It was nothing like Halima when everybody, race didn't matter, gender didn't matter, religion certainly didn't matter, right? But in America, some of that stuff didn't matter because the white kids would play with the white kids, the Somali kids would play with the Somali kids, the black kids would play with the black kids. Everybody was just in groups, and then the boys would play with the boys, the girls would play with girls, so everybody just had their own little clique, and that was something that came as a surprise because I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that environment. So we stayed there for about 7 months, and then we moved to St. Cloud, Minnesota. My uncle just called my mom, and he's like, there's Ed here, there's this here, there's that here. So we just moved, and I started school, and we did have English learning classes, so that's where I started to learn English, started to learn how to read. But again, it was at a really slow pace. I didn't really learn how to read until the 3rd grade, but I would lie to my mom because she'd be like, here's a book now, translate, or here's this paper, translate, and I'd be like, so it was really funny, but I did get caught for lying because this one time she was like, translate, and my uncle was home, but I didn't know he spoke English, so I was like, no matter what I do, that was the only song I knew from Halima, and he was like, wait a minute. So yeah, so after that it was quite, but I learned, and it was hard, and just like the culture shock, that was something I wasn't used to. And as I grew older, obviously I became comfortable with the language, but another thing was like, I struggled to find my identity because on one hand I was raised in America, but on the other hand I'm Somali, and it's like 2 different cultures, so intermixing and intermingling, like it just, I struggled so much to like find my identity.
So you log in, make a community account, just make like, not fake articles, but stuff that's actually happened and put it online. And then I went in and they interviewed you, but at first I was like, oh my god, how the hell do I stand out? But the thing I didn't realize was just by being Somali, you actually stand out. There's hardly any Somalis in media, and the contacts that you have as a Somali are actually completely different and are so useful. So just doing like charity work in your community, you've built a network that will have stories, might have issues that you want to cover. So I just pitched like things that I knew about in my community, and they really liked it. And I did like a 3-month internship, and at the end they kept me on because they wanted to keep me. So the kind of stuff I've covered was like, most recently I covered you. And like this Somali girl who went viral for the 6-second clip of her playing basketball. Yeah. But it's just really fun stuff that I got to do. It was really fun. So like, or even like celebrities when they piss people off by appropriating. So that stuff. It's kind of cool to just piss people off.
Why can keep on doing? Why inspired to do this among you? But no, what are your future aspirations these days? What do you see yourselves up to this?
I've always wanted to be an investigative journalist, and although I love Glamour, it's my favourite magazine. I absolutely love working there and doing entertainment and books and things like that. I've always wanted to do more in-depth investigative pieces. So I'd say that would be my future aspiration. But with that, it's a huge job, and like I read loads of people who've done it, like The Guardian, and independent journalists there who work, and they've been in the industry for years and years and years. So I understand that comes with experience. So I'm just taking steps. But I think ultimately that's what I want to do, or that I can do what I'm doing. Yeah.
For me, because of like my background and being born in a refugee camp, staying there for almost 7 years, I always had a passion to work with the UN because, you know, I remember growing up, there'd be like this one white lady coming to the camps and everyone loved her. So I was like, I don't know what she does, but I kind of want to do that. I want to be like her. So ever since I was 4, it was just like my passion to work with either UNICEF or the UN. I think what they're doing is quite incredible, and so that's definitely something I want to do in the future.
I think in the future, like as I said, I want to start traveling, to start shooting things across the world. But I also really love the internet, so I'll probably move with it because it's so cool. And 2010 is when Twitter was out. Who knows what we'll have in 5 years? So I just want to move with it, like move up career-wise, but still stay where I am. If that makes sense.
Social media, did you get any hate? Did you get any like trolls? Did you get any people like bugging on like your Twitter, like bringing things up and stuff like that?
I have cousins and they send me all the screenshots, so I can't avoid it because they just send me like all these screenshots. And for some reason, it's always like the negative stuff. Like, what are you trying to do? But so I do read them, but I take it as like with like salt of grain. Grain of salt. See, English is my first language, so but you can't take it serious because they have the time to comment mean stuff, especially to someone they don't know, you know? Especially about things they don't know about. Like, somebody was like, oh, her 80-year-old husband is gonna whoop her for this, and I'm just like, I don't even have a boyfriend, what are you talking about?
But you also, because you're an ethnic minority, you need to be doing well for your country and your people. So in that sense, it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, but I try not to think about it like that.
Somali, it's just like a higher expectation for, but like even without the physical appearance, I went to Savannah. I was expecting malls, there was no malls. So I was like, okay, this is a Somali restaurant though. So you do expect things from your fellow Somali people, you know, because of culture and like how things normally are.
And now, whenever I see young Somali girls like asking me, how do I do this, how do I do that, I really help them out because the time I struggled was because I didn't know how to do my CV properly. I didn't know how to do a cover letter and stuff properly. I didn't know who to talk to, and it's just having like a support system from someone, it really does help. So I'm hearing it.
Yeah, I say. I mean, it's not even just Somalis. Like in the media industry in general, it is very male dominated, and it is something that's being worked on, and we are doing well as women. Like there are a lot of people. Obviously, I work at Glamour, which is literally just women, but like when we talk about national newspapers and things like that, that I've done work experience at, it's literally just been men. But I don't know. I just feel that. I feel like that's even more of a responsibility for me to try and do well, because you don't want it to be like that forever. And if people step back and think, oh well, that's a man's job, or well, females step back and think that's a man's job, then it will always be like that. So I think definitely, and luckily, like my parents felt like they agree with that. So it wasn't really, I didn't really have an issue trying to convince them that I wanted to do it because I was a girl. They weren't like, oh, you're a girl, you can't do it. But yeah, as you said, like when you see other Somali girls like you doing it, I was like got excited because I didn't know. So I mean, it's a good feeling to have like more people like you doing what they want and being in the media industry. But it is all down to ourselves.
So that kind of like knowing once I did get into modeling, I was like, okay, well. Now I have really big shoes to fill because we have Iman, we have Oba, we have so many Somali girls who absolutely slayed in the modeling industry. So it's just like, okay, that made me feel really happy because, again, just because they're not wearing that hijab, it's still the same story for the most part because they're Somali. So that was helpful, just knowing like I'm not the first Somali to do it. It's just like wearing the hijab is something that's new. But again, it's just like I almost like it and I appreciate it because. Again, people see two different like perspectives. I think a lot of people they have that misconception that for you to be a Somali, for you to be a Muslim, like you have to wear a hijab, and if you do wear the hijab, you're oppressed. So it's like, where do I win? So again, it's just like it's interesting, and I saw like a lot of conversations being started, and again that open dialogue, like okay, you can choose to wear it, you can choose not to wear it. Because essentially, like, we're the Somali. So that's kind of like what we all have in common. But yeah, meeting Iman, I didn't get the honor of actually meeting her. It was a phone interview, but it was nonetheless like very enjoyable. I was so like happy to see how like in touch she was with her Somali side. No, I did not call her Habal because in Minnesota there's some Habarians that are gonna get mad. Like, what do you mean Habarian? You mean a bio? I was sorry. So no, I called her Iman.